Oh my
Nah,
god!
I
Oh
was
my
looking for it for a
god!
couple minutes.
Yo! Oh my god! Yo!
Alex, what happened?
Yo! Yo! Hold on! Yo!
Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I never thought I would ever play in my life. There's a lot of games I never planned on touching, but there is one specific genre of games that I really have never been into, and that's the fantasy RPGs. Same thing goes for anime RPGs, as I'm not an anime fan personally, and I've never found the fantasy setting interesting. Part of it for sure is when you think of a game like a Baldur's Gate or Final Fantasy, you think of the fan base, and you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a certain stereotype with these types of games, and that's not me saying that they can't be good, but for me at least, it just turns me off. However, in the year 2025, I've been trying to expand my range of games that I would probably never play, and so as big as a hater as I already sound at the start of this video, I played Baldur's Gate 3 and finished it completely. I had 3 friends who had all started Baldur's Gate 3 at one point, but never finished the game themselves. One of those friends was Morgan, who was talking to me about the game because I was curious, considering he said it's a turn-based game that I might actually enjoy, considering I do like Pokemon games and just turn-based combat in general. There was also a trial on PlayStation for 2 hours, so I thought I would at least try the game out. I gotta say, I am happy that I gave this game a chance because for at least most of this game, I had a good time. Let me start off by saying I was definitely being carried through a lot of this game, and it definitely would have taken me so much longer to beat if I didn't have people who knew what they were doing and knew how to solve the puzzle. So this video is more of a review of Baldur's Gate from someone who probably didn't get the full feel of the game, but instead is a newcomer's first attempt at any RPG game like this. So first loading into Baldur's Gate 3, I created Kratos because I was playing the God of War trilogy before this, and since this is a game where you can just make any build you want, I thought, let's make Kratos. So of course I was a barbarian and focused mostly on strength, and I think this was fun for early game, but later on I became less and less of a fan of just having one note, rage and hit enemies over and over and over. Like I said, beginning of the game I didn't think it was too bad and I actually enjoyed it a lot, but later in the game when you're fighting like 20 plus enemies, and mind you, I'm playing with 3 other people, so it takes a long time for it to come back to my turn, meaning a lot of the time I'm just sitting there staring at my screen, waiting for my next turn, just to hit an enemy 3 times and then end it again. Baldur's Gate put me in a weird spot because a lot of the time the gameplay was fun strategizing on what I should do next, but at the same time, because I didn't have a sorcerer or some character with magic, which usually gets so many different spells and ways to kill, I think I would have enjoyed combat a lot more if I was playing solo because I would get to choose all the different moves on each character and it would involve more strategy. Like, for example, I loved South Park's Stick of Truth combat, which isn't groundbreaking, sure, but I thought it was really fun and you could control 4 characters at the same time. I don't know if I would have enjoyed the game as much if I wasn't playing with friends because, as we all know, when you play something with friends, even if it sucks, it's better than doing it alone. However, playing a co-op game usually takes away from the story experience in games, and so while I'm going to take it into account, let's talk about the story. The story of Baldur's Gate, if I had to sum it up, is there's these Shadows of Evil looking squids invading Earth and infecting people with these tadpoles that go into your eyes. Really not fun to think about. Slowly they turn people over time and turn into mind flayers, basically being zombies with almost no recognition of who they were and hunger for human brains. You're also infected with one and are looking for a way to get it out of your head. This sends you on a quest in which you'll fight many different types of enemies, which end up in you trying to stop the evasion of mind flayers and keep the people safe. Then everyone says, wow, this really was our Baldur's Gate, and roll credits. There's obviously much more to it, but that's just the general idea. I have to talk about one part of the story and characters in this game that I just don't like, and that's just how sexual so many characters are. It's the reason why I call this game Gooner's Gate 3, because bro, the amount of times you have characters who are trying to fuck you is insane. Remember how I said I know almost nothing about this game? Well, there was one thing I actually did know, and that's that there's a sex scene with a bear. Yes, you heard me, a bear. Which is why as soon as I met him in game, I killed him immediately, because while some of y'all freaks might be into that, I'm not trying to see that. I also think that this guy was an important character, but I just killed him because like, I'm not taking that risk. I'm not fucking the bear. Especially when one of my friends I was playing with was telling me that you can accidentally get into romance options with them, so I was not taking the chance with a bear. Another way this game really plays into the Gooner aspect is how you can make any character completely naked, like dick and balls just hanging out, and you can customize them, and I have to ask why. It's just something so random that I feel didn't have to be in the game and just feels like it's here just to get the Gooners excited. One of my friends, Derek, I was playing with, is a certified Gooner and decided to take the clothes off of everyone in camp, and I did not know this at first. So one day, when we were playing the game, I get to a point where I have to long rest, and sometimes when you long rest, you get cutscenes from specific characters in your group. The cutscene I got was from this vampire guy, who I can't remember his name because this happened a few hours into our run, and because they all have some fantasy name like Balsacatrus. But this vampire wakes me up looking like he's about to touch me, and he was butt-ass naked, literally dick and balls swaying in the wind. And when I saw this, I thought this guy was trying to rape me, so I did the only logical thing. I killed him.
Oh. No, Alex, that was literally your boyfriend, bro.
Bro,
Yo,
like,
why is it?
what is it, bro?
Yo,
Yo, why did it bounce, bro, when he died, bro?
I know, man. Like, why is there physics on it?
I'm pretty sure he's an important character too. You know, since he's on the cover of the game. It was a pretty funny moment though, and I remember the option said it was just gonna attack him, and I thought it was just gonna like punch him or something, but no, it just killed him. So RIP that guy, I guess. What I'm saying here is gooning in games I just don't really need to place. Other than the fact that it draws in more people, especially those kinds of people, it really doesn't add much to the game, and when I feel like it's shoved in my face a lot, I just wasn't a fan of it. Except when I walked into this werewolf fucking this 1,000-pound ogre that reminded me of black men who love their obese white women. Then I rolled my dice and proceeded to cuck shame them by raw dogging the ogre. Don't get me wrong, it didn't ruin the game for me. It's just not something I care much for in video games or media in general, unless it's there for some type of character development. I really enjoy the story in games, and I'll be honest, Baldur Gate's story just isn't great for me. I just can't get invested in any of the characters or plot points. It's not entirely boring, it's just mostly okay and doesn't jump out at me like other games like The Last of Us or Red Dead Redemption 2. Part of this for sure is the cringy dialogue options you have in this game. Like, you can just randomly roar at people. I'm not gonna lie, I roared at people a few times just because I think it's pretty funny, but I know there's definitely people playing this game who roar, and it makes them feel like an alpha sigma who doesn't abide by the laws of the rest of the world. There's other dialogues which are even worse, which is surprising, but I guess part of it is due to the fact that this takes place in a fantasy medieval setting with Old English, and the way they talk is always just kind of like that, which I get it. I'm just not a big fan of the dialogue, especially when it's something like, I am the most powerful wizard in all the realms, you shall bow to me. I don't know, just sounds cringy. There's also the good mind flare that you have dreams of, and once again, they try to get you to fuck this mind flare because, you know, of course they do. However, it is kind of funny when he's talking about being lonely because I made him look like Conquest, but also a dwarf, which dubbed him the name Quest, which was a peak part of my experience in this game. Every time I saw Quest on screen, it was just a goated moment, but then the game tried to get me to fuck him, and so, you know, I had to be mean to him, but shout out Quest, my goat. There's also a point where Quest tries to get you to become a mind flare, and I denied it both times. However, Yendel, one of my other friends that was playing with me, accepted it and got slightly stronger because of it. I mean, he was the last one alive in the boss fight, and then he killed himself while looking off into the sunset because mind flare bad. It was a pretty funny moment because right after he did that, Kratos just spawns in and it's like nothing even happened. Also, I'm pretty sure that we just got one of the worst endings possible because we did really none of the character quests. The vampire guy I killed, the wizard guy we never gave any enchanted armor, so he left camp. Karlach, which I know I talked about gooning in games, but she's bad though. Anyways, she died because her chest exploded, probably because of a quest we didn't do. Shadowheart left the camp. Laziel? I don't know, the one that looks like the female Beast Boy. Well, I think she didn't like us and just left as well. And Will, I'ma be honest, he was just kind of there, and he was always butt-ass naked because I didn't know how to put the clothes back on him. So once again, shout out Derek the Gooner. But Will actually lived. It's funny because I talked to Morgan about running this game back, and just me and him and just do a devious run where we could just do the worst things possible, but we probably got one of the worst endings you get. I mean, we still did stop the mind flare invasion and everything, but we lost 90% of the characters because either I felt like I was about to get sexually abused or we didn't do their quests. Overall, the story was decent. I don't think it was horrible, but nothing special. Maybe if I play the game again, I'll do more of those quests and get a better feel for the characters, and maybe I'll actually like the story better. But for now, it's just alright for me. Shout out to my favorite characters in this game though, like Scratch, which I summoned at every chance I got, petting him and playing fetch. What a goat. I will definitely miss Scratch and his best friend, the Owl Bear, which is so cool looking. And at the end of the game, we get to see him fully grown up, which was such a nice ending for him. The last thing I want to talk about is the fact that Baldur's Gate is completely based off of D&D. Like, it is literally Dungeons and Dragons. I had no idea about this going in because I never had played D&D, and again, always saw it as one of those games. But I have to say, Baldur's Gate got me a little bit interested into what it's all about. I probably wouldn't play it myself, but I am definitely able to understand more why people would enjoy D&D. And maybe, honestly, I will play it someday. You know, who knows? If I'm given the opportunity, maybe I'll try it. I do really like the mechanics of the game, and the fact that it's a board game makes it make so much more sense than why I was rolling a dice, because at first I thought it was a little weird, but I didn't think much about it. But after I found out it was based off that, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Playing Baldur's Gate, as I said earlier, was never a game I expected to be playing, but I did have a lot of fun playing it. At some point, I'll probably even play it again, because there's so much potential in this game with all the choices and free will that you have. It's definitely not one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't think personally I would have placed it as my 2023 game of the year. Probably would have picked like RE4 over it or Spider-Man 2, but I get it. You know, RE4 is a remake and stuff, and Spider-Man 2 is stuff we've seen before. Let me know what you guys think about Baldur's Gate though, and just let me know if there's anything you think I really missed out on while playing the game, because I'm sure there is a lot that I just didn't see that a lot of you did. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on this game. Oh yeah, and before I go, Omni-Man is in this game.